Well, hello. So today I thought I would do some signs and talk about what I was reading this article 2 weeks ago. So 2 weeks ago, it was an article about relationships. And I put this one in top just because I'm right-handed. You could do it left-handed. So when you have a relationship, you put it, it's encircled, right? And then it goes back and forth. Relationships. And it's because it's with another person, right? So it's a relationship. And you can have a relationship in a business, but then it might be a partnership, which would be a different sign. But we're talking about relationships. And it doesn't matter if it's with family or friends or your husband or wife or your children. So it's a relationship. You're just connecting here. Just encircling it. Relationships. So the first thing it says, of course, is that relationships are important. Now, I'm not using the word are, as you can see. So I also end up with the F hand shape, but I start down here and I go up. Important. This is something that's important or a value, and with a V. And some people still do initialize signs, and sometimes it's better. I think that deaf people are more English based now that they're mainstreamed in the schools, and so you can do it's a value. And so what you're doing is you're going here and going up. So it's important. It's a value. So it depends on how you're using that word. So you could do value or it's important if it's in the same concept, right? Okay, so, and then it talks about, and so I'm not going to go and really read the article because it's kind of long, but I'm going to just tell you the highlights. And I did this for like emphasize, it's what I want to emphasize or what the article emphasized, highlighted, because that's what we really mean. Sometimes we think of, oh, it's a highlighter and we put, and maybe that's, our mind, that's where it goes to is in English that we've highlighted it with a highlighter. So that's, we've emphasized. Just take your right open hand shape. You start somewhere here on your heel and just goes towards you. If you want to think of backwards, you can, but it goes towards you to highlight a few things. They're saying as you are building, and it's like building a building or anything that you build, because you stack it here and here and here. You're stacking it as it goes up, right? It's a building, or I'm building a relationship. So how you build these relationships, the first one would be to smile. And this is friendly. If you do it like this, and you can just smile like that, you curving up your lips, or friendly smile, either one. So these are kind of building relationships regardless of who they are, if you're just meeting someone for the first time. So smile. And then remember their name, because they say, that's the most important thing to a person is their name. And people, they mispronounce my name all the time. And I say wrong, say. But, before I would always, correct. But if I'm going to be friends, I will tell them how to say it right. Or if it's my doctor or whatever. But other than that, if it's just kind of a casual, then I just, whatever they say, I accept and move forward with it. Because it's not going to be like, a permanent relationship. Okay. Be a good listener. So I did it kind of right here because listen would be in your ears, but if you're deaf, you listen with your eyes. So I kind of did it in between just so it could be like listen if you're a hearing person or listening as a deaf person. And the reason why you do it that way is because this is like to get receive the information. So ears, you hear the information, the sounds, and the eyes, you receive the information that you're seeing, right? So this is receiving information. Think of it as sound waves or what you see. Sound waves listening or what you're seeing, the signs. So I like the sign, it's fun. And then last, it says to sincerely, this is seriously, sincerely, you really want to, right? To make other people feel important. So that is interesting. And so they said that to treat, and I don't really know if that's correct conceptually. I see it because this is like to treat, like in a medical sense, to treat. But or do you want to treat, right? A lot of people still say that. Do you want to treat that something, you know, delicious or dessert or good to eat, or I'm going to treat you to a meal or to treat other people. But I usually see this sign most of the time because I think it takes too much time to really kind of conform it into how would I say that. Except if you want to say, oh, do you want a dessert or you want something special for lunch today because I was paid, or whatever. You can do that. But to treat other people, and this is what it's going to go to treat other people as you would like to be treated, right? Treat other people the way you want people to treat you, right? And you can say, or behave, or say, or whatever. So that word treat has many meanings, and how you would sign that in a quick way, you'd have to probably ponder it. But to treat others the way you would, if someone said the golden rule, and if I was interpreting that, I would probably use the word treat other people, because the other one, the expansion would be too much and then you would lose all that time. So I'm always thinking about how it interprets something instead of having like a conversation. But you could do that, or you could even ask that deaf person, how do you sign treat? And they're going, well, what do you mean, right? Is, well, to treat someone a specific way, or how do I behave, or how do I say something? And they may say treat, or, like, oh, I want a treat. Can't spell today, treat, like, ice cream or pie or cake or whatever. And they may say treat. I mean, I don't know. Then we say, well, then just use that sign, right? I want a dessert. I want something special. I want ice cream. That's a treat, right? So some of these signs kind of depends on how the deaf are using it. I'm giving you more common ways, or how I learned it, or what I see regularly. So it's certainly not all the ways to sign something. Okay, so let's go. And another way is to be about building relationships, is to be understanding. This is, you can understand them. Oh, I understand. This could also mean like, uh, giving someone instructions and they go, you understand? And you go, oh yeah, I got it. I understand. But to really understand is like you're really with them. I gotcha. I got your back, or I gotcha, or what's another, I feel ya, or whatever. That would be this sign. So it's a Y hand shape, and you're going, yeah, I gotcha. I understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you. Right. So it's that whole concept of that. Not just I understand. That would be more of an instructional, I would think, or they may be giving you an excuse of why they can't, come to work or to a party or whatever, and you're going, oh, I understand. But if you really are kind of that, I'm with you, I got you, right? Even if someone's giving you an excuse to not coming to a party, you can say, you know, but you can also do it with understand. So this is more of the feeling, I gotcha, I'm with you, I understand completely what you're saying, that kind of thing. So, and not be judgmental. So non-judgmental would be judge not, or not judge, either way. And it's another F hand shape. Remember we did this before. It's the scales of justice, right? So it's either weight here or weight here. So your weight is so justice or judgmental. So no, don't judge. Don't be judgy, right? Okay, let's see. What is, oh, I'm getting it over here. Here's the one I want. To communicate with I statements. Now, In English Sign Language, which is C, it would be I statements. But when deaf people talk, they're pointing to me, I feel, or I think, or I believe. So when you make these I statements, they're really me statements, right, in ASL. For example, I feel discouraged. This could be depressed or sad. You can say, or this is disappointed. You can even use disappointed in this particular sentence. I feel disappointed or discouraged um, when I don't think you understand me, right? So those are the way you would in ASL for an I statement. You would say a me statement. I feel, I think, I believe. So that is really very important. I feel neglected. So that's an I statement for deaf people. Let me see if there was anything else to highlight in this article. So, oh yes, be charitable. Now, we've talked about this word before, charity. So that would be like if you're charitable, like if you're giving, right? Being charitable, being nice, being giving. And so let's look at that, what it's saying. Um, so the solution is charity. So that's being nice and loving toward other people. So in this way, when you're saying be charitable, be nice and loving. That's how I would sign it. You need to be charitable to each other, nice and nice and loving to each other. That's how I would use the word charitable in this sense, because it can be giving, but if you're being nice and loving, then that is going to encompass, an I statement. It's going to encompass those, giving or understanding, right? The understanding, or to treat someone. So I did the I statement like this so you can see it in English, but I would never say I remember I was interpreting in a psych situation. And when the psychologist used that term, I statement, I said me statement. So it's good to know when you're reading it, what would that say? And if you were signing it to a friend or a family member, how would you say that? An I statement. But I want to always show what it looks like in English, right? Sometimes. Okay. And I think that's it. Seemed like there was something else. Yeah, it emphasized again the I statement. That's so funny at the end. Okay, so anyway, so those were the topics about building relationships and how important they are. So you smile and do those things, treat other people using I statements. And so anyway, if you have a question about any of these signs, just let me know, and so I will try to clarify. So I will see you later. Have fun and practice. Bye.